Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome to the channel. Today in this video, we're going to interview a real estate consultant in Italy. She is originally from Australia. I came to know her through Facebook actually. Someone shared a Facebook group with me and I saw Nikki's face. She was live. I jumped in and found out she was doing a 3-day, kind of like a crash course on how to buy real estate. And many of you have probably already seen her face or heard what she was doing. We'd like to introduce her right now. Welcome, Nikki. This is Nikki Taylor, everyone.
Hey everyone, thank you for having me, David.
Yeah, no problem. Nikki, I'm glad to have you on the channel, and there is so much interest in moving to Italy right now, and I was impressed by almost everything you said during that first day that I jumped in on that live presentation that you did. And so I'm very happy to gain some insight from you, and perhaps there's somebody watching this video today that can benefit from your expertise. We're going to ask you a little bit about your personal life as well as some business, because that's what we're here for. We want to know the good stuff about buying real estate in Italy. First of all, I invite you to tell us why did you move to Italy, or what attracted you to Italy in the first place?
Okay, so I had my first visit to Italy when I was 21 years old. It was when I was living in London at the time. I went to Florence, and like many people, it's not an unusual sensation. I was just completely drawn by the country, drawn in by the beauty, the architecture, the real estate, like absolutely everything. I was saying to myself at the time, I'm going to retire here. And, you know, when I was 21, like, thought of retirement was just such a pipe dream. But during my years of living in London, I must have visited Italy about 6 or 7 times. And each time my love for this country just kept growing. When I moved back to Australia, it was 2012. Working in banking and finance, and just didn't really feel settled. I think I'd been away out of my own country for such a long time. And my mind just kept pulling me back to Italy. And, you know, I have a UK passport. So for me, it was very, very easy to make that transition. And I just decided out of the blue in December 2013, that's it, moving to Italy. And that's exactly what I did.
That's amazing. So how long did it take you to actually transition? You said, I'm going, I'm gone. Did you move like that month, that week, that year?
No, I gave myself a 12-month timetable, because obviously I wanted to save money. I wanted to learn Italian. I wanted to, so December's when I decided to move, December 2014, but that August beforehand, I came to Italy for a month, did like a massive tour, north to south, looking around at everything, just to really get, reignite the spark, I guess, for the country. And then in December in 2014, I moved here officially.
Awesome. When you first got here, you mentioned you worked in banking and finance. Did you work in banking and finance when you first entered Italy?
No, that was absolutely a not negotiable for me, because I felt so burnt out in corporate. 12-hour days. I actually got very ill towards the end of my corporate career. So I was like, no, I've had enough. And I want to do something completely different. That was the thing. I did not know what I was going to do. And I was very fortunate, actually. It was just after I arrived. So I arrived in December. In February, I came across a advertisement for requiring an English-speaking person to work for a real estate agency called Engel & Volkers, which is a German luxury real estate agency that have offices all around the world. And I couldn't really speak Italian. Where I was living, actually, they spoke German as well. I couldn't speak German, but I could definitely speak English. So that for me was an easy choice. And, you know, my very first job in Australia was in real estate. I worked as a property manager. So I've always had a massive passion for real estate my whole life.
That's great. All right, Nikki. Now, I don't remember if you said, we were talking before. I don't remember if you mentioned on the video yet. Where did you first move to in Italy?
So it was Bolzano, which is in the far northeast of Italy on the Austrian border. So it's a dual lingual city with Italian and German.
Okay, and how would you say the cost of living is in Bolzano? Because I know a little bit about Bolzano. They say it costs more.
It does cost more. It's on the border of Austria. It's it's not a cheap place to live. It's not exorbitant like other places like Milan or Rome, for example, but it's not cheap. I mean, like I live in the south now, and it's probably about half of the price as what I was paying in Bolzano. Yeah.
Okay, so where are you at this point?
I'm in Puglia.
Puglia, yeah, Puglia. Are you in Salento area or more near Bari?
Raditria, so I'm near Ostuni. I'm in Martina Franca.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah.
Have you been to Alberobello? Just
Yes,
curious.
I have.
That's a beautiful
Yes,
area.
love it. Yeah.
Have you visited Lecce by chance?
I haven't actually. It's actually on our list. Obviously, with lockdown and everything like that, we haven't really been able to explore that much. But Lecce is definitely a place I want to check out.
Yeah, cool. I'm just curious. I spend a lot of time in Lecce every year, actually. Some years all summer, some years just a few weeks. But overall, it's one of my favorite places because you can access beaches so easily, both sides of the peninsula. So cool.
Mm-hmm.
What would you say is your favorite region so far?
Oh, there's so many to choose from. Like I always say, trying to choose your favorite part of Italy is like trying to choose between a favorite child. It's impossible. Like each region does have so much to offer. I love Puglia. This is the second time I'm living in Puglia now. First time we were in Monopoly, now we're in Martina Franca. And what I love about Puglia is the fact that, yes, you're in the south, you have that really laid back southern vibe, but you've got, it's a very clean region. Like all the cities are very well kept. There's a lot of beautiful towns. And I really like the community feel of Puglia.
All right. So one last question about your life. What do you miss most about home? Since you just kind of left it behind, you came and you've been here for a number of years now. What's the hardest thing that you had to leave behind?
This is going to be really random. But the thing I miss the most about home is food.
Food?
It's the diversity of the food. Like, don't get me wrong, I love Italian food, but in Australia we're a multicultural country. We have a lot of Asian food. We have a lot, Greek, Lebanese, Mexican. We have everything.
It's a bit surprising.
Thai. So I miss the diversity with the food. Honestly, apart from that, I don't miss much at all.
I'm honestly surprised. You shocked me. Much rather we jump into that business side. And to do that, I'd like to ask you, first of all, have you had the opportunity or taken the opportunity to purchase real estate in Italy as of yet?
Look, we're looking at the moment, we're looking to buy investment properties. So for us, it's not about buying property that we live in ourselves. It's about looking for properties that are suitable for holiday rental investing and things like that. And we're scouting because right now is a very, very good time to buy. So we're scouting.
Yeah, it's actually very smart. I follow a series of mentors that talk about spending on creating passive income sources as opposed to spending money on things that just absorb your cash. And so
exactly,
it's a good decision to make. Talking about real estate, you're in Puglia, and do you still work for the original real estate company, Engel Volkers, you said?
No, I don't. So I left them when I moved down to Puglia. I was working for an agency down here, and I decided to branch out onto my own. Let me just share with you a bit about how that all came about and my business came about. So working with this company down in Puglia, I was, the business development director of all the international client inquiries because I spoke English. It was very, very easy for me to communicate with these people. And I noticed a common theme with the inquiries that people were sending through. They had a lot of doubts about purchasing property here because of bureaucracy, because of, hearing one too many horror stories, fear of getting ripped off, didn't know who to trust, didn't have a connected network of, an accountant, a lawyer, all that sort of thing. So for me, it was a no-brainer to kind of formulate my business, which is to coach and guide people onto the buying process here in Italy. So now I work for myself, and that's my full-time job, which I absolutely love.
Great. It's actually great to hear. I hear all the time from people. For example, I'm American, and I hear from Americans they like the idea of trusting in another American in Italy, and I know that it's not just because I'm American. I know that it's because of what I've been offering, but at the same time, I imagine just the fact that you speak English as a principal language, just that one feature that you can speak on their level, and you know the real estate industry or in the finance industry specifically in your own country, that you have an ability to relate to others that perhaps the Italian real estate professionals are working on. Some of them have, but some of them don't.
For what I'm doing, what sets me apart from the others is I'm completely independent. So I'm not an agent, and I refuse to be an agent because I want to be completely independent for my clients. So they know when I'm giving them advice, I have no financial gain in that advice. So I can say, look, this is good, this is not good, as to where if you're dealing just with an agent, here they obviously have a financial gain in giving you specific advice.
Right.
And I think that also adds the element of trust, the fact also that I speak English, I speak Italian as well. But I think it's the independence, really, that people feel more confident with.
All right. I understand that idea. And actually, I have a few questions about the contract relation between a buyer, agent, and seller. In real estate in Italy, there is no MLS. There are many real estate agents that have listings that you see them in their windows all over Italy. Like everyone has that storefront property with a bunch of pieces of paper that they print off. And when a buyer lists and a seller chooses to buy it, they both come to that same agent. How often is there like a second agent involved?
A lot of the time, because unless that agency has an exclusive contract, you might see one particular house advertised with 10 different agents.
Okay.
So it can get quite complicated.
So there is the choice of not making your property exclusive with a real estate agent.
Definitely. Because what I've found in my experience as it's very hard for an owner to understand what is the real value of the property, because if you just have one agent that goes to your property, they give you an evaluation, they might give you an inflated valuation because they want the listing. Right. So, and then you might have someone who's more cautious and they drop, they do a lower listing. So I always think, at least get 3 to 4 valuations of your property, so then you can kind of understand what is actually the value of this property, and you're not just going with an agent who wants the exclusive contract telling you you're going to get 20-30 grand higher than what the property is actually worth, and the property is just sitting on the market and no one wants to look at it.
As a seller, after you've gotten into a contract with an agent, what kind of guarantees do you have, or how do you know whether they're actually actively trying to sell that property? I know they have their motivation. Obviously, they make money on it, but do they actually advertise? What do they do to sell this property on your behalf?
Well, generally, I can't speak for all agents, but in my experience, generally the agents will put the property on their website, might publish it on social media, write a blog article, also publishing on various property portals, like external portals like Rightmove or Gateway or ID Lister. So those are generally the options that the agents use to promote properties. And they might, if it's a franchise agency, they might circulate that listing amongst other offices as well, because they might have other clients from other offices that are looking to buy in that area.
I don't know if you know about this. It was recently brought to my attention, and I've noticed it before, that on Idealista or Case.it or different publication websites for real estate listings, there will be a real estate agent that just puts like an attractive picture, a beach, or a resort, and then in the description it will describe a simple property. And there will be some ridiculously low number, or maybe like a rounded off 10,000, 50,000, 150,000 sales, but there's no actual content or proof that this property really exists. What is the motivation, if you know, for a real estate agent to try to draw attention in this way?
I've not come across anyone that's really doing fake advertising like that. What I will say is that perhaps they might have used a picture of a beach because maybe the interior of the property is not great. So they try to draw people in, because I know a lot of agencies, they don't believe in home staging, especially here in Italy. So they have properties that are really badly decorated. Mm-hmm. So they might, if it's near a beach, what's an easy draw to get people to come and look at the property is to have a beach picture and no other pictures at all. So that could be a reason as well.
And it's common to not put the address in, correct?
Correct.
I guess I should be specific. I think this real estate agent was helping with auctions, okay? So I know that's not the norm or like the overall market. So perhaps their marketing strategy doesn't fit all completely like real estate in Italy, right? But this client sent me a contract because this real estate agency that had listed like over 450 listings, all with a little bit of confusion on like, what is this picture? What is this place? There's no addresses. They sent a contract almost immediately saying, if you sign this contract, send us 2,000 euros, we will proceed to help you with this service. Is it common to ask for money up front as a real estate professional in Italy?
I've not come across that before, but I always say especially in a country like Italy, when anyone presents you with, a contract, you want to make sure you take that to a lawyer, property lawyer, preferably one that speaks English.
Right.
Because a lot of the time, people can be signing things. I mean, I do know that what some agents do is they want you to sign an agreement to say that you'll work exclusively with them. And this goes back to our point we made before. If there's an agent with various listings that's same as other agents, so obviously that agent wants to make sure they've got you locked down, so you're not going to go to another agent with the same property. So that happens, but I've not heard about the money side of things before. But anything like that, you'd want to be making sure that I wouldn't sign anything without showing it to a lawyer first.
So two of the things that I liked when I first watched your live video was, one, you refused to be an agent because the stereotype that is assigned to it, right? You want to be that client helper as opposed to, them feeling like you're just wanting their money. The second thing is that you encourage people to talk to like lawyers and accountants, and as opposed to just feeling like they can wing it on their own. Because in Italy, it's more important than ever to trust the right people.
100%. I'm not a wing it kind of person. And I guess that comes from my banking background. Like, risk mitigation is paramount to me and for my clients. So, you could, if you're in a country like Italy, it's not black and white, it's very grey. So you could end up getting yourself into some sort of legal issue without even realising it by signing the wrong piece of paper and not understanding what you're signing. So just be really super prudent, super careful, and speak to a lawyer before signing anything.
All right. Thanks for that. I didn't expect to ask those questions, but they've kind of come out. So I found you through this live video on Facebook and in your Facebook group. What inspired you, or what prompted you to create this group or this three-day crash course on buying real estate?
So I do this 3-day training twice a month because I find, like, right now, people always want to buy property in Italy. It's like always, a popular thing. But even now, but the fact that we're in a buyer's market, the desire for people wanting to purchase property here has just increased, even though a lot of people can't even travel. So I like to create these 3-day programs where I can share a bit of my insight, my expertise, with the view to getting people to understand that you can't just wing it. You can't just be that person that flits from free forum to free forum, going down the rabbit hole of bad advice, because you could end up losing thousands. So this is kind of like a starter, a starter to get you on the right path. And then in that 3-day training, I do talk about my paid programs as well, if people want to, have a really guided and supported network behind them.
Okay. Your paid programs, what exactly do you help people do?
Okay, so my program is called How to Confidently Buy Property in Italy. I'm the first to market that in Italy. It was really down to, as I said before, after seeing all these client inquiries come through for this previous real estate company I was working at, and really putting together, formulating a results-based course that can help people go from A to Z with the entire property process. So we talk about where's the best place to buy for investment, retirement, quality of life. We talk about, the common pitfalls that people can come across, and more importantly, how to avoid them. We have mastermind sessions with property lawyer. We have talked about the accountancy side of things, so what taxes people could pay. It's a mastermind session with an accountant. We talk about currency risk mitigation. This is something that not many people think about, because, if you're buying property in a different currency, you want to make sure that you've got a currency strategy in place to lock currency rates in place, because especially now we've had Brexit and COVID in the same year, the currency rates have been all over the place. So you want to really make sure you've got a solid strategy in place for that. We talk about visas and immigration. We talk about holiday rental investing, talk about renovation, illegal buildings, what to look for when you're coming on a buying trip, and also when you're actually here, how to apply for residency, how to settle into life here, all that sort of thing. So it's a complete holistic viewpoint that people can start from A to Z and get all the information they need, and also access to trusted professionals that have their back and also speak their own language.
Wow. That actually sounds covering many aspects that perhaps other people wouldn't consider. For example, I have personal experience trying to transfer money and purchase real estate. One experience that I had was during a period where I sold a property in the US and I wanted to buy here. And at that moment of that transfer, and I was relying on this money, the euro to dollar rate just kind of, I don't know what to say, plummeted or skyrocketed, depending on which side you're on, right? It wasn't as valuable for me to transfer money at that moment. And so I tried some other strategies on keeping my money at that value, but I personally didn't know anything. So talking to a professional like you would have been very useful at that time. So thank you.
Yeah, because when you're putting a deposit down on a property, the currency could be at a certain level, but by the time you've gone through the process of the sale, it could be 2-3 months down the line, and things could be very, very different. So you can have, currency rates locked in for a year, which, you've got that peace of mind knowing that, right, I'm going to transfer this amount of money, and that's exact money that I'm going to need to buy this property, instead of having a loss and having to pay more for something, or even it being at risk of losing the property if there's too much of a gap between the currency fluctuations.
Very interesting. Actually, very useful information. I'm going to have to ask you more about this after this is over. I have to buy your course. I'd like to jump into your experience with finance, but just one moment. Before that, I would like to know first, which areas of Italy do you cover as a consultant? Obviously, this course is for Italy in general, but as a support, do you act like as feet on the ground in Puglia, or do you cover all of Italy? What do you do?
I cover all of Italy. So I have trusted agents that go through, a due diligence process on my behalf to make sure that they're reliable, honest, ethical. And any of my clients, I do property finding for my clients as well. So any of my clients want to buy certain areas, I do a lot of research for them. So I do cover all of Italy. I know a lot about Puglia because I live here. So, but I do cover all of Italy. But, Puglia, if anyone's, interested in Puglia, it is the second most researched region in Italy to buy after Tuscany. So it's
That's awesome.
Definitely, the popularity has increased dramatically in the last few years.
That I believe it. It's beautiful down there, and I love every single time I've been able to visit there. People talk about it. I swear everybody's from Puglia. At least the people I know, everyone says, I'm from Puglia, but they all have moved up here. And so apparently there's a lot of space down there for people to move.
Yeah.
A lot of people are interested on moving as a retirement plan to Italy. What is your opinion on retiring in Italy full time?
Okay, so there's a regime, a special tax regime aimed at retirees in that want to move here. So it's a flat tax regime. So if you're buying in the south, you're buying in an area that has less than 20,000 inhabitants, you're being taxed 7% on your worldwide income for 9 years. And that's very, very attractive. So if you've got people who have got pension income, investment income, all that sort of thing, they're getting a lower rate of tax. So that is something that's a massive draw card for retirees here.
You said 7%?
Yes, it's a 7% flat tax
for 9
regime.
years. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, good to know. And you have to be a resident. You have to come here full time in order to achieve that, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. Is it easier to move here part time or full time?
Depends on what you're looking to achieve.
What I'm going for is right now, I want people to understand that if you're coming here full time, there are challenges in and of itself. Coming here part time, there are those other challenges as well. Just make sure to do the research. And this was my way of opening up that discussion.
No, I will say that living here versus being here on holiday is a completely different ballgame. Because when you're here on a holiday, you're in that tourist bubble and everything's just fantastic. But when you're actually living here day to day, it can be really, really tough. Like I've had some of the worst years of my life living here. I'm gonna be totally transparent. It's been really, really hard. It's been hard because I come from a country that is very like, it's black and white, you know where you stand, all that sort of stuff. You come from a solid career, and to move to a country like Italy, you have to pivot a lot, and you have to be flexible, and you have to drop expectations. And you can't get angry with the system because you'll never change the system. So I've really struggled with that, and I've struggled with leaving a very successful career behind to coming here and to having to find my way and really create my own path here. And it's not easy unless you create. If you're coming here to work, you're going to have to either think of what can I do to create either something in a niche, or create an online business beforehand that you can bring anywhere.
Right.
Because, finding work here can be really, really difficult unless you wanted to work as a teacher or in tourism. And it looks like tourism right now is not really the best. So,
right. I like what you said, because I get a lot of people who contacting me, they see me here, and from an foreign point of perspective, my life seems perfect. But I also, being fully transparent, have had some of the hardest years of my life here. Mm-hmm. And it is 100% related to trying to live based on the rules that I believed were worldwide, right? And the biggest wake-up call is when I work in the auctions. And so the biggest wake-up call for me was when I go in, and from the US, it's like you are how do you say? You are innocent until proven guilty. Well, written on the wall of every court, at least the court I go to, says ignorance is no excuse for the law. And so it's like pretty much the exact opposite. That just because you didn't know the law doesn't mean that you're not responsible for it. You're basically guilty until you just follow the rules. Okay?
Yeah.
So I don't want to scare anyone, but frankly, knowing that might influence somebody to read a little bit more, to learn the laws before coming here. So I hope that works.
I think I think with regards to learning the laws, I think what you need to really do is find a network of trusted professionals that can help you. Because if you get, I've seen this so many times, and I do talk about this in my training, if you jump on these forums and you can get so much wrong advice, go down the rabbit hole, and it can be really overwhelming for people. So you want to cut through all that, and you want to speak to people who can actually give you an honest answer, and not just some random in a group that's giving you advice based on what they think they know. That's actually not qualified.
I'd like to bring up something right now that I'm curious if you've experienced. Here, there is an overall attitude in certain industries that you can do it as long as you don't get caught. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And when you're talking about forums, I imagine some of the same people are adding content to those forums. I personally have a bad experience. I haven't shared on my channel yet. I intend to over time. But that I trusted the wrong attitude. Is this attitude of, don't worry about that. Nobody controls it. And I trusted the wrong people, and it went really sour for me. And so this is something very important. Have you seen this attitude? What industries have you seen it in? And how do you
100%.
Manage it?
Look, I try not to get involved in the forums because, you can comment on something and then you walk away to make a coffee and you come back and you've got 50 notifications on your phone. Like, it's literally like everybody has an opinion. But the one time, it's a few times I get involved, but I saw something that was so wrong and I had to say something. There was one woman saying to an American lady that you don't have to pay tax when you purchase property here, which is complete rubbish.
No, that's wrong.
And so, I was saying that's wrong. Other people were saying that's wrong. All of a sudden, I'd gone to make this cup of coffee. I came back and there was so many comments. And I was like, I don't have the time or the energy to get involved in these conversations. But I just felt for this poor woman who was getting told all this conflicting advice. And it's dangerous because, as you say, you've had a bad experience with South. This is where people lose money because they take advice from some. Oh, that person did it. They were fine. There are people that buy property here that don't register as residents because they don't want to pay taxes. They don't want to pay anything. And it's like, well, eventually you will get caught. And the tax department here, they're not very sympathetic.
Right.
At all. Just saying that you didn't understand the rules isn't good enough. You have to, if you're living in a different country, you have to be responsible and take responsibility for your life and learn how things work here. Good
advice. Very good advice. Well, we don't have very much time left. I'd like to jump into a category that you are an expert in, and hopefully it doesn't bring up bad feelings. I'm kidding. About finance, about banking, because it's something that you kind of left behind, but it's very tightly knitted to real estate.
Yes, it is.
Is it possible for a foreign investor to get a mortgage?
Yes, it is possible. So I have a contact for a mortgage broker company here in Italy. What I will say is, look, it's generally the rule of thumb. Generally, is they will loan 60% of the value of the property. So the buyer is going to have to come up with 40%. So that can put people off. If you can obtain finance in your own country, if you can release equity from your home, so for example, in the US, interest rates are so low, you could release equity from your home, purchase a property in Italy, and if you're looking as an investment, holiday rental investment, you could use that money that you're earning to kind of offset the interest that you're paying back in America. So that's an example. But generally, rule of thumb, 60%.
Okay.
Loan to value.
Do this one mortgage broker that you're mentioning right now, do they cover all of Italy? Is it like based in certain region? What are there areas that they're not willing to invest in?
No, they cover all of Italy.
Okay. Good. What are the requirements in order to get approved for this thing? What is something the people watching this channel, what do they need to be aware of in order to be accepted for this mortgage by this specific mortgage company, for example?
Okay, so it depends really on their income status, what they're earning, all that sort of thing. That is the primary thing. So generally, I don't get involved in the consultation side of things with my clients and the mortgage broker. I make the introduction and they have their consultation. But obviously, I know that, your employment status, any assets, all that sort of thing, that's all taken into consideration.
Okay. And this is a mortgage broker that's not really a standard bank. It's just that's what they do. They specifically help foreign investors. All right, good. Great job. I've had requests, so I'll be talking to you after this is over.
Okay, perfect. I would just love to say that there are a lot of people, you know, that want to buy property in Italy and they have this dream. And for many reasons, fear, lack of, you know, the unknown, what's happened in the world, the pandemic, can all really prevent you from taking that first step. But it's so worth it. Yes, it's hard, and you and I have both said that it's hard, but would I have changed anything? Not at all. Like, my life now in comparison to what it was before is so different and more than I could ever have imagined. So I just encourage people to really maximize this time we have now. It's a buyer's market. Don't let the fear and say, oh, we're not ready, it's not the right time. If you think, like, when was the last time you did something that wasn't the right time, but you had the most amazing outcome? So I just would encourage people to not use the pandemic to not take action. Now is the time to take action. Whilst you're in lockdown, utilize this time to learn about the systems, learn about who you can trust, learn about creating a network of people that can have your back, learn about people who can, you know, contact agents on your behalf, organize Zoom tour viewings on your behalf. This is the time, because right now we are experiencing extreme amounts of properties that are under market value, and you don't want to have that fear of taking action and then think, oh, look, I'll buy, you know, later down the line, and the property prices have all gone up and you're actually paying more. So yes, it can be scary, but taking that first step, that first guided step, can make all the difference.
Great advice. Thank you for adding that. It's actually a really good place to leave off. Nikki, do you have a website or like a social media profile that people could find you on? What is the best way for people to get in contact with you?
My website is www.italy-propertyconsulting.com. I also have a free community on Facebook called How to Confidently Buy Property in Italy.
Okay, great. Is that the one you do the live thing, the 3-day lives in, or is that a different group?
That's a different group. So the 3-day live, that happens twice a month, and it's in a temporary Facebook group. It's a secret group, but people generally come from the main group, How to Confidently Buy Property in Italy, and they get funneled into that other group.
Oh, okay.
For the training.
Understood. I was invited, so I didn't take that bypass. All right, Nikki, thank you so much. I know there will be a lot of viewers of this video itself that will find your information very useful, and most likely they will probably reach out and get in contact with you. So thank you again.
Thank you so much.
Have a great day, okay?
Thanks for having me, David.
Yeah, thank you, Nikki. See you next time.
Okay.
I'll see you soon.
See you later.